With that said, like Yellspire said, we don't have to wait long at all. We are already loaded into the match. And I gotta say, I think that's the single most ideal corrupt zone that a killer can hope for, is these back two gens being blocked off so they can't be 9-9 and ready to pop.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing about Green Storehouse. That's why when we were discussing whether or not it was going to be introduced to the season, whether or not I wanted it, because those back corners can just be so deadly. And at the end of the day, it's really hard for many killers to really protect around them. However, I mean, Nurse does have a lot of mobility here, and so they will be able to work around these gen pockets pretty well and getting a really good hit there on the Jake.
Yeah, that was a really good read there from the Nurse, getting a heads-up play on the Jake, and Jake running to the back. There's looks like it's a lucky break, but it is not a lucky break for this Jake, because they're going to be going down in the comp corner. First hook coming in for the Nurse, and this Nurse brought their Heelys. They are zooming.
Yeah, that there is in fact an agitation on a Nurse to traverse this map a little bit quicker. And honestly, it makes a lot of sense, especially on Green Storehouse, getting those hooks in those corners. It's not ideal for the killer, to say the least. Where in this instance, though, they're able to bring them further into the map. Claudette getting found, though, behind the rock. With a one-to-one trade, I imagine a deliverance, but the question is, will the Jake be able to stay up long enough for that to activate?
It's a good question. We're going in 4 seconds, 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 7 seconds, and with that, I think that's a lie. No, it's not, but I think they do get the deli here. However, the tunnel out will be proceeding. Worth noting, did you
I think it's going to be close.
Did you catch... Well, they went down in one shot, so that's the 10-second span that you need for deliverance, right?
Well, so there is a slight window of opportunity where you can get them down and for it not to be safe.
Really? So is it 12 seconds? Oh my word, that was a really good read.
It's just about 12 seconds, probably the best way to explain it.
Okay. I did not realize that. That is fascinating. In that case, that might have not been an unsafe unhook, as we have not seen the Unbreakable from the Claudette as well. Okay, so did you catch at the hill the thrilling tremors?
I did indeed. We've seen this build a few times now with Agitation, Thrilling Tremors, Corrupt Intervention. We still don't know about what the fourth perk is just yet, but this does seem to be pretty interesting as far as seeing this build be used more and more over time.
I think it's a really interesting meta pick. They come in for the body block. Multiple survivors can be taking hits here. I think they want to go after this Fang. Yeah, they're like, Fang, how dare you unhook in front of me? However,
I mean, it's a really good power play here. Getting it down on the Fang, Jake out to the wind. I mean, honestly, getting the hit on the Ace and dropping back for the hook might be the play here.
Might just be the play. Worth noting that Lucky Break's still a little bit of time left on that Jake, and Jake is nowhere to be seen, but they're going to leave the Fang slugged out and says, no, I only have eyes for the Ace here. I want some hooks on this boy. And Jake does get a heal. There's the pickup on the Fang. Possibly an Unbreakable. Ace going down in the corner here. Only one gen completed so far for the survivors.
Yeah, this Nurse doing a really good job of mending these survivors and the gens alike. I mean, we have seen zero gen aggression. There's no spiritual gain resonance. There is a Thrilling Tremors for information, but it's not going to be doing all too much. Though Nurse knows that there was a survivor around this gen here, but they are nowhere to be seen, where instead a second gen popping up out of nowhere.
Very interesting, to say the least. And Pop goes the way. It is so interesting to see after the balancing from every season with these killers, what becomes the quote-unquote meta for the season is, yeah, we've seen this build a couple times on Nurse, and I mean, it makes sense. He gives you a little bit of information, also blocks him off from being able to go over and pop a gen willy-nilly. Like, there's some good reason for it. I haven't seen Thrilling Tremors use this consistently before.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say it wasn't until, I want to say maybe back in Season 1, Season 0 even, where we saw what was referred to as the shock and lock dock, where they would bring, you know, Thrilling Tremors and before pickup, shock out, then pick up, blocking the gens, so the survivors couldn't work on them.
That is very spicy and very interesting, and honestly, some sweet anecdotal history that, you know what, between these breaks, I'd love to hear some more, but in the meantime, I thought they were going to stay on that... Why'd they leave
Yeah,
Claudette?
it looks like Nurse just content with the hit, wanting to drop chase instead, wanting to protect these gens. Maybe they're just a little bit fearful that these survivors have been cranking them out in the background.
Maybe. They find Ace. I think this killer needs to find the Jake. I think they need to find Jake and get them out of the game.
Yeah, I would tend to agree here. Getting a survivor out of the match at this point in time would be huge for the nurse. However, do you want to point out that there is currently Claudette and Fang who have yet to get hooked, so some pressure from them would be huge. But I think that is in fact to Jake, and Nurse getting a very clean hit there with Jake trying to hide in that corner to no avail. That there is an overcome, getting some distance. But is it going to be enough as the nurse will blink right to them and get the down in the corner?
Yeah, not able to get use out of that lucky break with what little was left. I think they did get a heal off, so they were able to get some charges back. But yeah, this survivor is going back to the campfire here. And now, using that throwing jump, we see that one of these gens two of these gens are not blocked off at this moment. So Killer has to make a very dicey choice here. Which one do you go and apply the pop to? They're going to go for the hill gen. And it's only 50%.
Yeah, no sign of survivors either. They seem to have known that the nurse was coming and have evaded them. But Popka Suizo going to get some decent progression there on the gen. About 8 seconds, give or take, at that amount of progression. This gen not doing too much better in the grand scheme of things. And with a survivor here, that Ace getting kind of caught out in the corner of the map, the nurse is in a really good position.
That she is. However, missing that first blink, Ace is making as much as they can. There is the gen in the corner that Jake was working on popping. And this other gen that they didn't go for the pop on is pretty progressed, but have to see if they're able to get away. There's the prediction blink going towards the edge of the map. Oh, but her blink gets swallowed by the rocks, and Ace is going to get a bit more distance here. They're going to commit, though. They want this Ace down.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think that misfire on the rock was actually the right move, because if they went over, I think the Ace was prepped and ready to start diving in towards the middle of the map away from these gens, but Ace going down in the corner. We already know that they have agitation. However, Nurse willing to leave them slugged and hope that they are able to catch a survivor on this gen before it's completed. And there is Pengmin, and they are here in the nick of time.
They would have. That was a good heads-up play by the Nurse, knowing that the call-out for this gen to be completed would be going. Hill gen probably worked. A different hill gen being worked on. Can you even afford to pick the Ace up? There's 2 survivors.
I mean, really
nearby.
speaking, at this point, no. The main reason being is that now 2 survivors are able to jump on this gen together. It's currently only regressing at 0.5% per second. So this gen still has a long, long time before it can get left alone for any extent of time. The problem is now that will the survivors be able to sneak on behind the Nurse and get the pickup on the Ace, or will the Ace even have an unbreakable possibly that we have yet to see, though I would have imagined they would have used it by now.
Yeah, I think the other survivor had the unbreakable. I could be wrong. They just got picked up real quickly. There's the pickup on the Ace Planet, making it back here. However, now you've got 2 survivors back here, kind of cornered. I think Claudette did manage to run out. Ace still over here, blocking line of sight. They want this thing to commit to the gen and get a hit on them, but it's not going to work. Ace is going to call it out.
Yeah, I think the Fang Min is kind of the target you would want to go for. Get them out of position, get them down real quick. You see the double back in. Honestly, the Nurse was in a prime position to get that down, but just overshot it. Now they do risk the Claudette and the Ace going to be able to jump on that gen. A quick vault there. They weren't able to do much work on the gen. They will be able to get the 2.5% in addition to the 0.5% progression per second thereafter. But
I think Ace is on this
really
back
awkward
gen.
position here for this gen split.
Yeah, I think Ace is actually back here working on this gen. I don't think they're going to leave. Yeah, there's progress back here.
There is indeed. This is the right move. The gen pressure really forced this Nurse to make a choice. Ace does go down. I do think that a gen over here has enough progression to where, or rather, is regressed enough to where the Nurse is able to go for the pickup and the kick here. So, especially with Plata and Fang injured, they're not going to risk the Nurse blinking onto them and getting that down.
Oh, and it gets blocked. But again, that hill gen on the opposite side does have progress. Nurse noticing that he wanted to get a little bit extra distance with the agitation. Will they be able to stop it, though, is the question. They're not going to go for it. They're going to find the pop here. They don't think there's enough. They're calling the bluff.
I mean, and it's a good bluff to call here. You have Ace on Death Hook as we speak, and these 2 still injured. And it doesn't sound like there's a lot of progression. Sounds exactly what we thought. It was a bit of a bluff on the side of the survivors. And these gens now starting to regress far below where they were prior. Things are looking a bit grim for the survivors now.
Indeed. We see Claudette on the opposite side. Fang ready to leave at any given time. Survivors aren't out, though. The gens, especially with the one in the corner being split, there's a chance, but oh, that was such a well-placed blink and hit. And with this trade, yeah, I think you might be right. This was not the trade that they were hoping for. I think they wanted to get a safe unhook here.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that we're looking at right now. Now, mind you, we haven't yet seen Deliverance in this match. I'm not sure who it's on off the top of my head, but if it's still played, that could allow for some pressure to be taken off these survivors. We do see a pretty instantaneous unhook there on the Claudette. Looks like Ace did not go far.
No, they didn't. And I think Feng Min might be our Deliverance player at this point, as we did not see the deli there. I'm wondering if survivors might consider resetting at this point. I don't know if it would help, but considering you can take multiple hits in the chase, go to the far side of the gen, they want this middle gen. I think they're committing a bit hard to it, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, either that or just trying to bide their time, but that pop goes the weasel. They make their lives harder and harder, especially with agitation, allowing the nurse to navigate while the survivors on their shoulder. I don't know. I think the gens are split well, but against the nurse, not well enough.
True, and yeah, this gen's so close, but here comes the pop goes the weasel, and just even more. I don't know what they can do. I feel like the reset had to have happened already. I think they just, yeah, they might just have to aggress it out, maybe hope for an overcommitment, but honestly, Nurse has just been ultra methodical this entire game so far.
Now, I will say this, we haven't seen that gen in the far back-end corner, and Ace has been the one to get the unhook again and again and again. I wonder if there's a possibility that's been working on that gen, but seeing Ace here on this middle one just suggests otherwise, and things, like I said, are looking quite grim for survivors, though maybe now the plan is to just get the thing in out. You have Claude dead here, you have Ace here, both on death, both Ace needs to back to the campfire. If the Fangman is kind of hiding, but clearly they aren't, you would be able to attempt for a execute or a hatch escape. But at this point in time, I think these survivors are going to continue trying to get this gen completed.
Look at these gens, though. These survivors are not giving up. Both of the times the killer has gone back over, they're pretty much 95, 99% ready to pop. And with that pop goes weasel being applied, this killer feels confident going after the survivor. I don't know if I would, though.
Yeah, I mean, if the Claudia is able to hold their own for long enough, they might just be able to get that gen completed, and if there is a surprise adrenaline on top of which, it could potentially mean a one-man out. If that person is Feng Min, then the nurse is in a whole world of hurt.
Yeah, and
that
there's
said, yeah, there it is!
No adrenaline, however. Sprint burst coming in. Yeah, she's definitely the deli player, but that means you shouldn't be hooking her here, because then you're gonna... Clan's gonna be able to do an exit and get out. Not to mention, you might risk a Deliverance play. The shack is right there.
You now risk a lot going for this. I think Claudette was right next to that exit gate as well.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to just face camp this, either that or box them out at the shack hatch. And hope that they're able to not get by you in time. And I think that's exactly what the nurse is thinking here. They need to sit on this hatch right now as they're going to open up the exit gate. They're going to prime the Fangman for the Deliverance and hope they're able to get there with the BT. There's the Deliverance.
Why didn't
I
she
imagine
leave?
Claudette about to step out the exit gate.
She didn't leave yet.
They don't.
Waiting for the sprint burst.
Okay, wait to see if they can make the nurse make a mistake, and they do not go for the hatch. Instead, looks like the Fangman making a mad dash for the other side of the map. Will they be able to get there, though, is the question.
Wait, did they double back?
It looks like they might have.
No, they held W, but now they need to get a... This has to be a precise blink. If they miss this blink right here, she gets out. She gets out!
And that's a huge number of points, too. Look at that.
Oh, my word. I can't believe they managed to execute that.
One. But that being said, we're jumping right on in as we see Luminescence against Divine Dead Survivor Team, and another decent corrupt, not as good as the last one, but not that bad either.
Well, considering the nurse spawned back in that corner, so they know that nobody's back there. Yeah, this is a really good corrupt, and now that I'm thinking about it, even a one-man out that's a fresh also messes with it, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, there's a lot of different winning conditions possible. The long story short is that the survivors need outs, and the killer here pretty much needs to get a 4K.
Yeah, killer 4K, they secure it, but survivors, they're gonna need some specific outs. It's not just like, oh, a one stage escape. They've got to they kind of got to beat this nurse into submission a little bit. I feel like, so.
Yeah, I mean, and we saw it's a possibility. We saw a really rough start there by the Survivors in the last trial, but they came back, rallied back, and got some outs to boot. So it's not a ton of a possibility, even if they slow start, but this Nurse actually in a bit of a pickle here, though they do end up finding the Ada.
They do find Ada. They are able to stay on track with her, seeing where she's behind this, and doing really good line of sight blocking there, now getting her cornered a little bit. They will initiate the chase, but we're over a minute into the Corrupt Zone, and Survivors almost hit out the entirety of Corrupt, but...
And Ada doing a fantastic job dodging the Nurse there, knowing that they are trying to force them to double back for that short one tap. But Ada forcing the Nurse to double blink there, and Nurse now going for it, and they will not land a hit on the Ada second time round, as they're going to keep on using the edge map here to force this Nurse into a longer chase.
Absolutely. Also, the spectator bug's annoying me because it doesn't look like they're fully charging their blinks, but they are. This is not a Nurse that is new to Dead by Daylight. They are precisely waiting for that second charge to come back, so if anybody's confused like I am, it's just spectator bug. But yeah, it looks like we're going fast, so we do have an agitation here going into the... I'm glad that there's no pain res on this killer. Pain res would be such a pain, if you will.
Quite literally, yes, but yeah, we saw it that just was too powerful, even at 15%. Imagine at 25 would be even more ridiculous, but a Pop Goes the Weasel coming in here from the Nurse. This is the same build we saw last time: Agitation, Corrupt Intervention, Thrilling Tremors, Pop Goes the Weasel. And we do see that first gen popping off for the Survivors, as we do see that first hook on Ada as well.
Indeed. All right, Executive Decision Guilt. I want to do something we've never done before. I want to take the perk cover off. We know the build. Can I take the perk cover off?
I mean, yeah, in this case, we could, for all intent purpose, take the perk cover off and show you guys. We thought about it before, doing that, and or at the very least having a dynamic perk cover. Still, that's my dream eventually, to have a dynamic perk cover where we, as they are revealed in-game, we remove them one by one.
You know what, Guild? I'll make it happen. We'll figure something out. I'll make it happen. And you know what? These Survivors are making it happen. Second stage confirmed, but with no deadlock in play, Survivors are cranking these gens.
Yeah, honestly, doing a really fantastic job making sure that they're using the time wisely. We do see that second stage there on the Ada, but these Survivors not undeterred, or not deterred by that, rather, as they're just going to continue working on these gens. I think the Nurse in a bit of a pickle, because these Survivors know if the Nurse isn't getting hooks, they're not getting popped. So you know what? Let the Ada bleed, and we'll work on 3 separate gens at this moment in time.
Yeah, and you send someone, like they said, like last second there, 30 seconds on the hook. Oh my goodness, immediately coming in with the hit. They want to deny the deliverance, and they're going to, I think. Oh.
Yeah, looks like they're trying to, but getting just out of range there on the Nurse, unable to make it happen, as now the Ada bring them into this back corner where the gen has already been completed. The Nurse in a bit of a pickle here, because they might not be able to get them close enough to a gen with some progress, and Nurse now trying to predict where this Ada's gone, but to no avail.
Ada has disappeared to the wind. Nurse having no idea where they are. Maybe even checking lockers. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, they do find blood. Ada is still back here, but this Ada has done more than could possibly ever be asked of her. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and a really good job here by Ada. Not able to stay up for much longer, but that is another gen, and I imagine the next 2 are not far behind. Not to mention a decisive strike on the Ada, extend that chase even more. Not for long, mind you, because, you know, it is decisive strike, but long enough for another gen to pop off. There is only 1 remaining.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a really, really interesting spot for this Nurse at the end. They're going to have to play absolutely out of their minds, to say the least, and we'll see what happens here. It is now a 3v1 scenario, but we do see a missed skill check on this gen here. That is 10% off the gen, but doesn't sound like a lot of progression.
It really doesn't, and sorry about that. My mic having issues there, but I think we figured it out. And yeah, they find the ace immediately, going towards the edge map, and edge map not working for them in this case. Is there anything for them to pop at this point?
I mean, not really, no, and I think they realize that they need to get this slug, and honestly, I think they keep them slugged. I think hooking here may not be the right choice, but they're going to go for it anyways, hoping that they can get to a gen, but I imagine that corner gen right in the middle of the Nurse's screen right now is the one being worked on, and if that's the case, the Nurse is in a world of hurt.
They really just might be. I'm not I don't actually hear it. It's a little bit, but it's not as much. I think they're on the opposite side. They haven't used Deliverance yet. We haven't seen Unbreak. We haven't seen any second chance perks yet. The survivors
Other than
still have
Decisive
them.
Strike, if you can call that a second chance perk nowadays.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. You get a little bit used out of it sometimes, and there is some progress over. I think the nurse will take the pop here, but... Oh, no. Oh,
Yeah,
no.
Blast Mine coming in, punishing that nurse, but they still get the pop off in time. We do see a notification off in the distance. That was the unhook on the ace. I was trying to think there for a second, like, what was that? But that was, in fact, the unhook. So we know where 2 survivors are at the very least. You know, that only 1 survivor's on gens. But honestly, with 1 gen left, that is exactly where you don't want to be. You know, if there's at least 1 survivor on gens at all points in time, you risk that last gen popping off if you are not careful.
That's a really good point, and we did see the unhook, so that wasn't a deli play. Still, they still have second chances in their back pocket. I'm not actually sure how the nurse pulls this one out. You have to essentially get some really heads-up slug plays. We see a survivor with scratch marks in the distance. I don't even know if they made it back to the gen. Yeah, it's still regressing, so survivor's still hiding out here.
Yeah, it looks like they stopped halfway through to try and hide the nurse. They do get seen, though, that there is the Neo who has yet to be hooked, so this is the most ideal scenario here for the nurse. However, looks like maybe a lucky break?
It's definitely a lucky break. This survivor immediately lost line of sight, which is super unfortunate for the nurse there, having to abandon that chase altogether, go back to the other side of the map. We see scratch marks off in the distance towards that far gen. A crow giving the survivor away as well. But I don't know if Claudette's the one you want to go for here. I think Claudette has deli.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there really is no good decision here. You know, right now with no one on hook, no one on ground, you're leaving 2 survivors on gens. And these gens are far enough away, too, to where the nurse really can't protect them all too well. So it's meaning that they're going to either have to get really quick downs or go for slug plays after some more extensive chases. And so at the end of the day here, they're going to want to ideally find that Nia, and it looks like they have, but it's not worth the chase as they will abandon that attempt and instead go backwards gen, hoping that they find a different survivor.
I think that was actually Claudette in the distance. I didn't see any blood from them, and I'm not actually sure where the Nia is at this point. Nia being back here would actually be, like, ideal. They do find the Nia!
Wow, that's insane. Yeah, honestly, I could have sworn that was the Nia there because I was like, why would the Claudette be over, or why would the Nia be over here? But no, they find the Nia. That is a fresh hook on the Nia. That also shows us Thrilling Tremors, though 2 gens, it looks like, not blocked by the entity.
Uh-oh, it means that one of them is getting cranked. Maybe, yeah, they were, wait, were they doubling up? Was that a fake out?
I mean, it's a possibility. At the very least, both gens had some decent progress. That is the 5th gen completed now, and it all comes down to this. Can the nurse get these downs where it counts? I mean, if they're able to get 2 kills here, that should be enough, though they need to make sure that it's probably on the Claudette, as they are still fresh.
That they are. This is going to be a really close scenario. If they can get some hooks going, then they've got a shot to pull this back, but Survivor's actually just really good job. Barely whipping into the Ace. I think if they got that hit, they have a chance, but now that that's a miss, Ace is going to get distance. They're going to go back over there. There is an X gate nearby. They get the hook there. If they had adrenaline, that was the adrenaline survivor.
Yeah, really unfortunate. I imagine the Claudette already had this gate 99 on top of which before that unhook even occurred, so I imagine those 2 survivors will be out, but no 99, instead now attempting to get it open. But 2 survivors here, it's pretty much a done deal. Ace opened the exit gate on the other side of the map. Looks like Nia will try and make their way there, but the nurse admits here that Claudette is able to get this exit gate without any issue.
True.
And yeah, I think this is a wrap here. I think Divine Dead is in fact going to take this in set number 1.
I think you're right. Yeah, getting it down here. Unless Claudette made a very grievous error here, I imagine we're going to be seeing it at the exit gate and leaving momentarily. I don't think you come back for this. Yeah, there's the double out. I was not expecting them to hold this against the nurse, but well done to Divine Dead for the Survivor Squad. Able to... That was impressive. That was very impressive.
Yeah. really well played on both sides. I think the Nurse in the last round did a fantastic job. The Nurse here did a great job too, but these survivors doing fantastic. And so Divine Dead will in fact take set number 1. But that's what these spirits look like. With that being said, we're starting off strong with Luminescence killing against Divine Dead's survivor team, and they are out on the prowl, phase walking right away to try and see if they can find this survivor team.
I will never get bored watching the Spirit's hands animations from the POV of the killer. Like, this is just such a nice little thing. It's so, like, it's haunting, right?
Yeah, no, honestly, really good design from Behavior, though. They do that pretty well as far as the aesthetic of things. I mean, take a look at the new chapter coming out with the Singularity. The aesthetics are on point, but what's not as on point is Spirit unable to find where these survivors are. Going for a swing at that pallet, but no sign of any survivors. Taking a blind swing and hoping for the best.
I think they might have thought they saw something out of the corner of their eye, but maybe, you know, matricing, as we call it, when, you know, you see something that's not there. And we're almost a minute into the corrupt, and I haven't even seen a crow. I have seen nothing. These survivors are stealth 100 right here.
Yeah, no, doing a fantastic job keeping the Spirit on their toes and waiting out this corruptive invention. And we'll have to wait and see what this looks like as far as the gens are concerned. I fear that the gens might be getting worked on a bit by bit here and there, but
then
again, I'm listening, and there's no gen progression.
Yeah, we see Claudette right back there. I think Spirit finally spotted them too. There's the pre-drop. But that's the thing, I don't think the survivors are working on gens. I think they're just waiting to stealth out and just save their resources for like a pure match without Corrupt. And I think they did that. We've got about 25 seconds left on Corrupt before it expires, and they're just now starting their first chase. Survivors just now starting gens. I don't think Corrupt got any value.
Yeah, I mean, Corrupt did not get much, if any. I think by the time that you get the down here, it is already going to be over. No, so some really, really good play here. A blind for the survivors, a for the people too, it looks like. Onto the survivor. The ace now broken, and Spirit now even more incentivized to go for this chase. But they will end up finding the ace. In fact, I thought they were chasing the initial survivor, but no. They get the ace and they get the down. Very
interesting. I know that Blight and Nurse have a lot of different balancing. Does this killer receive the same balancing where Sprint Burst, Dead Hard, Deliverance are allowed against them?
So it is pretty much the same balancing, though a little bit more in depth as we do remove anything that could remove scratch marks or modify the timers associated with them. But yes, pretty much the same exact thing as far as S tiers. So, you know, Sprint Burst is allowed. Pretty much all the perks are allowed for the most part. It just really comes down to, you know, Dance of Me, Deception, Lightweight, etc.
Okay, that makes sense. So what we're seeing there then is Ace wants to take the aggro because they have Decisive, they have the Dead Hard, and then Claudette, probably the Deli Unbreakable player. That would be my guess here. Honestly, if that's the case, Survivors have set themselves up for a very good game here. In first gen going down, as well as Aces in the chase for the second time.
We'll have to wait and see, but that being said, Ace going to the edge map, trying to waste the Spirit's time as much as possible.
Is there going to be a decisive, or did they touch a gen? There's the decisive play. I think this is going very well for the Survivor squad. I think this is how they wanted the chase to go down. We're not getting a lot of distance, but I imagine this Survivor does have a Dead Hard in pockets. If they did, they didn't get it.
Doesn't seem that way. Yeah, I was thinking that might be the case as well, banned. But no, they just trying to waste as much time. Second gen popping off.
Okay, never mind. Dead Hard is banned against Spirit. I did not realize that. I guess that makes sense. It's really tough to play around as the Spirit when you come out of phase and they just have the Dead Hard ready. So understandable. And that is gonna be second hook coming in. His second gen falls as well. Again, no pain res from this killer. Also, we didn't call this out. Sloppy Push was in play. I just never realized that.
Yes, Sloppy Push is in play. Survivors are keenly aware of that. In fact, we also see the Pop Goes the Weasel. We've actually seen the entire build. Once again, we're looking at Corrupt Invention, Sloppy Butcher, Pop Goes Weasel, and Thrilling Tremors. So that is all 4 perks known to us, the viewers, and the survivors.
Indeed. As Thrilling Tremors, So this is a different build. There's no Agi. Like, you know, the Nurse is bringing. I am really, really interested in how Thrilling Tremors has just suddenly made this huge resurgence. I thought it was just for Nurse, but now it's on Spirits.
It's really interesting, and I wonder if it is in the same way that, like, sometimes barbecue and chili was used, in the sense that you can kind of get a sense of what the most progressed gen is. But yeah, I mean, right now we're seeing Ada Claudette coming in, going for the unhooks here, trying to double up. You know what's going to be really interesting as we kind of take a look at this scenario? I'm reminded of it as Ace is actually broken, so that is smelling like a renewal in the mix.
Oh, that's such a good point. I didn't catch that. And they're
they have Ace, but Spirit unable to get the hit. They're going to get healed here in just a matter of seconds.
Yeah, there you go. They do get the heal off. Spirit thinking, oh no, this is so awful. And yeah, that's actually going to be really tough for them to deal with. I completely missed that earlier. Right, because they had the 4 that people play. And there's the 3rd gen going off as well. They do get the hit on the Ace. One more tap to go. But I don't know if they can get this. Even if they get this tunnel out, I think they're going to be looking at possibly a 2-man escape.
Yeah, right now things looking a little bit grim for the Spirit, but as we saw before, we cannot count them out just yet. Going for the pickup on the Ace here, trying to get them as quickly as possible, and looks like they're going to bring him to the closest hook to send him back to campfire via the entity.
Does seem to be the case. I imagine... Claudette... no, Ada took the hit. They have reset since then. Gens are going down. That's the 3-man on the Gen, denying the pop value from this killer. But there is still something of a 3-gen to be spoken of, and if they get this chase done quickly, they're not going to commit to it. They are worried about this Gen in the corner.
And for good reason. We've seen this Spirit's working on this bit by bit. We do see a pallet drop, a pre-drop in fact. Spirit's trying to figure out where they went and does get a good read on them. Spirit is currently injured, 1 out of the game. Ada, the only 1 healthy, and it looks like the Spirit just trying to spread the pressure here. Sloppy Butcher applied to get a little bit of regression and potentially some slug value later down the road.
It's very possible they do find the Ada, the only healthy survivor left in the game. And at this point, yeah, if the survivors are not able to do a clean reset, this might be the comeback that the Spirit needs to hold the pressure down. As yeah, getting hit through the pallet, 1 gen remaining, going into the TNL wall. You know, this is a junk tile, isn't it? Bit of a junk tile?
Yeah, not a really good tile here for Survivors. A little bit better than what they used to be, but Ada dropping the tile there, bumping over that pallet, and Spirit getting the hit over it. Really clean stuff there. But the question is, are the Survivors on gens? But we see the reset, meaning that the Spirit sees the green light and knows they can go for the pickup and now prime themselves for the pop.
And this is a hook in the middle of their 3-gen here. I thought it was looking grim for the Spirit, but Spirit... actually they're actually in a good spot, I would say, at this point. I hate to say they're in a good spot because survivors can still do some crazy stuff, but they've got resources now. The survivors have reset, but the gens are effectively reset as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing. Like I said, we can't count them out just yet. And so now Spirit going to be trying to do a little bit of a fake out here, see if they can catch anyone on this gen, but they do not. Instead, will be getting a dry kick on it, regressing by 2.5% and 0.5% per second thereafter. Honestly, between Pop Goes Weasel, the hook right here in the middle, a 1-for-1 trade is not where you want to be. So Survivor's going to have to find a way, anyway, to get a clean unhook here. But Claudette playing a fire, trying to see if they can ban out the Spirit. Spirit kind of sensing something's up, will instead double back to the hook. And, I mean, there's only a matter of time before Ada moves the second stage.
It is, and there's the deli play we were waiting for. I thought that they were gonna, that's actually a really good job waiting for the last possible second, forcing the amount of time from the Spirit. They do get the body block though on the pallet, and that might be a down coming in for them. Oh wow, that was last second BT hit from the killer, and they will go for the hook here. But yeah, if you notice, the sparks weren't flying from that gen near Ada, so I think they were content to just try and cat and mouse the gen back and forth, and yeah, they're on that gen, no thrilling tremors on that generator. This is second hook coming in. Where's the pop go though? You know, both generators are being worked on.
I mean, that is the question at the end of the day. I do want to really point out their amazing play there by the Spirit. You know, a little bit hurt the ego there. The last night, a really good play there by the Spirit earlier, where they didn't go for the hit into the pallet. Instead, they phase walked through the Survivor to body block them so they couldn't drop it in the first place. So a really smart heads-up play, and something that you definitely do not see often.
That's a very good point. Yeah, I don't see it often either. That's why I was surprised. And with that said, it seems like Ada has managed to skedaddle to safety, and Claudette taking a hit, not wanting to commit, and yeah, Nia coming back here to work on this generator. Survivors actually are still pulling back despite the 3-gen. I imagine this will be a hit over the pallet. Oh, good minding there from the Spirit, reading correctly, and now she's in a really bad spot.
Yeah, Spirit wearing their options here. Seems they can continue the chase and opting to go for the phase walk. Going for a large lunge there, as they weren't necessarily certain that they were going to be able to get the hit at the window, and instead getting it around that Z-wall. They will get the hook on the Nia for the first time here, so that is a fresh hook on those survivors.
Indeed, this gen gonna get popped here. They did reset the cloud, and there's a reset on the Ada as well. But gens are gonna start resetting as well. I feel like this is like the slow decay. Unless they're able to pop that far gen and get that one done, I don't know what the Stars can do. I think they made some valiant attempts, but Deliverance has now been utilized. And honestly, Ada's Death Hook, if you down them, you're not gonna slug them, you're gonna hook them. So not sure how they
that would make more sense here. We see Crows going off. We see that up in the distance, and I want to say that this is the Ada or the Claudette. I mean, it's one of the two, but I couldn't get a good read. That is in fact the Claudette, who is fresh right now. So this is worth a total of 3 points on the hook here. The question is, will the Spirit here get a little bit blinded by that greed, or will they
lose them
focus on
entirely?
their gens? But Claudette doing a fantastic job evading the Spirit's phase walk, and yeah, looks like they're going to drop chase in favor of protecting their gens.
They kind of have to. If you notice, the heal on the Nia was really quick, so I'm guessing it's a we'll make it. And so that reset didn't take very much time at all, and so they're able to come over here and start working on the gen, and seems like they are gone to the win. No trace whatsoever. And now with this kind of reset, Claudette not getting found out there, pressure's reset back to the Survivor's favor for the moment, as that they can go back to the gen. Oh, but Ada gets caught out here, pre-dropping the pallet. Here's the 50-50. And it looks
Ada's
like
gone. Yeah,
Ada
Spirit kind of going for that mind game, but Ada just said, nah, I think I'll just W away.
I'm about to say, it was a 50-50 until I realized it was a loaded die. And we weren't playing coin flips at all. Ooh, good mind game there.
I want to see some really good back and forth play here between Ada and the Spirit with these mind games.
Yeah, but I don't think she's going to commit. I don't think this is dangerous for the... Yeah, I'm going to say that's dangerous to commit to this, and there you go. There's the final generator being done. This Survivor's Death Hook, you can afford to hook them and kill them, but you got to phase walk right back over to that exit gate. They might even be able to take a hit and get the exit gate finished despite the hits.
Yeah, I think with this being so far away, even with the phase walk, I think these survivors have enough time to make it out with 2 survivors. And Claudette being fresh is huge for them, to say the least.
Where's
Mia
Claude?
committing to the exit gate, and there it is. But Claudette not to be seen, but now they have to worry about the idea of them either being on the other exit gate or
the
going
hatch?
to the hatch. And Nia with the escape, Claudette out as well. That is a 15-15 point match there between Divine Dead and Luminescence, and Divine Dead honestly bringing it back out of nowhere.
Even earlier today, we saw some really cracked Survivor play that, kind of making, lemonade from lemon seeds, if we're being honest. But with that said, yeah, here's the Spirit. God, I just love the skins from the Spirit, really good looking. However, they do find a Survivor much earlier on, not waiting out the Corrupted Doll, and they find them. Zarina, I believe. Oh!
Yeah, it would appear that way, and the Zarina getting a hit over that pallet. They're thinking that they won that 50-50. Honestly, I'm surprised that the Spirit got the hit, because I think they were a bit surprised as well. They're like, wait a second, the Zarina's in front of me. What's going on?
Yeah, I guess they kind of mind game themselves. You see it sometimes, it happens, but looks like they are going to be leaving them all together. And, oh, nope, never mind. They were staying on their heels the whole time, and this will be first hook coming in much earlier than the previous one, and not the start the Survivors were probably hoping for this game.
Yeah, no, exactly. Especially after the win condition that we just mentioned. These Survivors definitely going to be in a little bit of a panic here.
Wait, look at that.
Look at what, Rune?
That gen's regressing without anyone touching it.
That is, in fact, a Hex Ruin in the works.
You are kidding. I haven't seen Ruin in competitive since they nerfed the crap out of it.
We saw it a little bit last week in A2, but yeah, Ruin making a little bit of a resurgence here. We did see that lit totem very early on, and a clean hit here on the Ada. Looks like Spirit going to be going for the Ada, I think. Not going back to the unhook, though. A little bit, and I think they may have found them.
Yeah, I'm about to say, finding the Zarina, not getting the body block on the pallet, so the Zarina will be able to get to this next pallet safely. Question is, oh no, they are saying, come at me, Spirit. Do they have decisive? Is there a survivor ready for the pallet stun? They smelled the ace through the trash can. Impressive to say the least, but good heads up play regardless. Heading back in. They might see Ruin now, but they get the vault. No, they don't. Oh, wow.
Yeah, really clean stuff from the Spirit, and sensing that the ace was right around the corner, and in fact was able to get the down to boot. I mean, this is a very strong position, to say the least.
Yeah, this is really well done. I've always been curious, do you, because, like, that's what the survivor does, right? They're saying, you know, down me here, they're doing the animation so they don't fall forward. They do get the pickup on the ace, but that also tells the killer that there might be a survivor around, and the ace was kind of in not a safe spot to do it, so was that a good play? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the interesting part, right, is that they get the pickup. That means that there's 3 survivors off of gens, only 1 on them. Like, the biggest thing when it comes to being the killer and kind of in these situations in comp, it's a game of math. How many survivors are on gens? How quickly can they complete them? What progression is there already? And the fact of the matter is, there was a deadlock, meaning that the most progressed gen was blocked for a period of time on top of it, all while this was happening. So survivors definitely put on their back foot here, but they're not out of the game just yet.
It's a good point. If they could have gotten the deli, possibly that would be really useful. They do finish that gen in the corner back at that is the 6 o'clock position, right?
Yeah, that I believe is the 6 o'clock position.
Okay.
It's been a hot minute since I've looked at what teams use for the callouts, but yes, that I
well,
do
it's
believe
Wrecker's Yard, which is
fact.
really hard to tell because, you know, it's Shaq's middle. Shaq's not, you know, in a spot, so regardless, it looks like this survivor is going to be confirmed dead. And like you said, with deadlock preventing a lot of gen progression, and every time the survivors get pushed off the gen, it's regressing again with Ruin. Oh, goodness. This is a really tough position. To be fair, I believe, weren't the survivors in a similar position last time in the previous game?
I believe this was pretty much a very, very similar position, though. Here,
Oh, they
did
cleansed?
we get cleansed? You and I had the same thought of, like, wait 1 second.
When did they cleanse? I guess we did not hear the noise.
It must have been when they were phase walking over, because honestly, that was out of nowhere. I remember seeing it was still up and running when the Spirit left the totem and the hook, but by the time they got there, apparently it had already been gone.
Interesting, but well done to the survivors. Good heads up play, getting that out of the way. So Spirit with 1 less perk there. We know about deadlock and the corrupt has already ended, but we do not know about another perk, so maybe a backup gen regression perk, but we'll just have to wait and see as they do get hit on the Claudette. And Claudette just, they went over to the dump truck, and now with that gen by Fun Bus no longer being patrolled, I imagine there's at least 1 survivor on it. There is a survivor over here as well. Not as much progress as I was expecting though, and they're going to do some Z-Ball gaming, but not enough as they do go down. First up coming in for the Claudette. They're quickly running out of hook source, or I'd say fresh hook sources to get out of this game with.
Yeah, I mean, right now we're looking at needing 1 more kill and 2 more hooks. So 5 hooks total here in order to claim victory here for Divine Dead. I think at 3 gens up, that's a lot to work with, though. I say that just a little bit too soon as another gen does get completed.
There's the
deadlock
deli.
gonna be slowing things down just a bit.
Yeah, and there's the deli from the Claudette in the back. We see the jet at the Fun Bus is the one that's deadlocked, so the one over, that means that has more progress than the one they just kicked. Ada does take a hit heading back over there. I don't know if you want to go back to this gen. If that's the most progressed gen, you don't want it to be, you know, go down back here and possibly get camped over here. Yeah, that gen's gonna get kicked.
But Ada took that risk, and the risk was not worth it, as Spirit able to get the hit on the ace as well. But yeah, that was 99 as 99 can be. I guess that's why they're doing just this. But now ace and Ada down. Claudette's still broken from the deliverance. I mean, was it worth it is the question.
That's a good question indeed. First up coming in for both of these survivors, which is going to put a big damper on the win condition here as you need some fresh hooks. They're not even going to hook the ace. I think they might be thinking there's a Claudette right there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the Spirit saw something, and they were right on the money. As Claudette getting found out here, dropped the pal a little bit early, getting that mind game going. And honestly, at this point, all Spirit needs to do is just bloodlust the Claudette to death, but they don't even need that. They get the phase walk on point, and unless there is an unbreakable, that there is going to be the game.
Yeah, and with Claudette being the deli player, usually you shove the unbreakable and deli together, and might have been one of those cases where if you had the deli on maybe the ace or anything else, that might have been a Better scenario, trying to crawl over, but that's gonna be the 4K unless something... I don't know what happens here. I don't think you wiggle off between this hook.
No, I do not believe so either. And so, yeah, that there is going to be a wrap.
Really, really well played. But yeah, with that, and I don't... Yeah, we already used the deli before, unless that was a renewal. It could have been a renewal.
It was, in fact, a deli.
Okay.
We could tell by how long they were broken for.
Oh,
so,
that's a good point.
unfortunately, no luck there for those survivors.
Unfortunate. They had a really decent comeback there for a second, but I actually think that committing to the gen might have been the... That might have been the nail in the coffin. Like, I understand you have it 99, you don't want to get a camp. I think Ada running back, I don't know, that's so tough to say. I don't know if I like that call. It's so close, though. It's so close, because hopping, it's also good. I don't, yeah, it's tough to say. Really well played to both these teams. Really, really well played.